is seconds away. For our ancient ancestors, this might be the end of the world. All Earth was but one thought, and that was death. Lord Byron, 1832. "74,000 years ago, the human race was nearly driven to extinction by the eruption of the Toba supervolcano. The explosion begins deep underground. The ground above the supervolcano begins to implode. The roof literally caves in from the crushing weight of the Earth's crust, hammering the massive chamber of liquid rock below like a giant piston. Magma explodes toward the surface, vaporizing huge amounts of groundwater. All over the jungle, towering geysers burst open almost in unison. Then the hiss of steam finally gives way to the thunderous crack of rock splitting open. The eruption is 3,000 times greater than Mount St. Helens.
Toba is the biggest volcanic eruption that science has been able to identify. It could have been the biggest volcanic eruption of millions of years, maybe of all time. We do know that it dwarfs anything that's happened in the last 100,000 years.
Thousands of animals are consumed. Just a flash of light, heat, then nothingness. Still, the explosion rages, hurling molten rock, ash, and noxious fumes into the air.
You see these plumes of smoke come out, and the gases and ash particles are being spread around close to the volcano, and then maybe all of a sudden it was just too much and then it blew catastrophically.
As the magma chamber collapses inward, the edges of the volcano were stretched and cracked. These are the weak spots from which the magma explodes. Those animals killed instantly are the lucky ones. Others see death approaching, a rolling cloud swallowing up the landscape. These clouds of debris, called pyroclastic flows, completely destroy anything in their path. They steamroll the jungle, mixing with scorched earth, water, and debris.
It's so hot it turns into a pseudo-liquid and flows forward, rushing over and burning everything in its pathway. It's just this flow of hot ash coming at you, like Pompeii back in ancient Roman times, and it just burned everything in its path.
Reaching temperatures of 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit. These white-hot flows travel over 60 miles per hour, over twice as fast as a human can run. It's faster than Elasmotherium and even the Sumatran leopards.
Being overrun by a pyroclastic flow would be a really chaotic, devastating experience of which life would be over almost instantaneously. It'd be turbulent and it would be excessively hot.
The pyroclastic flows engulf much of the island, traveling over 100 miles from the epicenter in all directions. It will be hours before they settle over the ocean and cool. But But the eruption doesn't kill everything on Sumatra. At the island's southern tip, there are living witnesses to the awesome power of Toba. A small hunting party of humans can't help but watch in horror. From this distance, some 200 miles away, they're safe from the heat. The sickening smoke column appears to move in slow motion.
Had you been able to witness Toba, it would have been a show unparalleled. Scientifically, we can't even predict how much light, how much energy is released in the sense that what would the phenomenon look like from a distance. It would have been amazing. Something like being fairly close to a nuclear explosion.
For several minutes, the ash gathers in silence. Then the thunderous shock wave catches up. For these humans, the sound is literally deafening.
Assuming that they would have survived, it would have probably blown out their eardrums.
The hunters writhe in agony. Toba has announced its lethal dominion over the island of Sumatra. The thunderous explosions continue for 2 hours before they relent. But lava continues gushing from Toba's fathomless belly. This place was once a peaceful habitat for Elasmotherium and Sumatran leopards. Now Toba is a gaping pit, hidden from sight by an enormous ash column. 200 cubic miles of ash pulses into the stratosphere, reaching a height of over 5 miles.
Again, we think of Mount St. Helens as a yardstick. A great deal of dust went up, enough to coat much of Washington State to the east with inches of ash. But the equivalent, if we had had that particular volcano taking place in Washington State, it would have been tens of feet of ash over the entire state.
The ash alone could fill the entire Grand Canyon to the top. As destructive as the eruption was, it is only the beginning. Toba's ash cloud is the volcano's secret weapon. Slowly, this debris will spread out across the world. Soon, every creature on the planet will suffer the lethal power of Toba. The skies, they were ashen and sober. The leaves, they were crisped and sere. Edgar Allan Poe, 1847. 24 hours have passed since the Toba supervolcano erupted. Sumatra is burned and scarred by the disaster. The few humans alive on the island take shelter in caves, dazed, struck deaf by the volcano.